Hello, welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul and it's nice to see you here. If you're new, very warm welcome. If you're a returning visitor, it's nice to see you back again. Now, today's recipe is rather unusual. It's not a very popular recipe. It's not known a lot all over the world, not even over the UK. It's a regional recipe from Yorkshire in the UK. It's something I was brought up with, and it's something that evolved from dairy farmers' wives making this from their own milk. It's called a Yorkshire curd tart, and it's made from curd cheese. Now, curd cheese is very difficult to come by in some places, but I've made it for many years using cottage cheese, and it's very successful. So, if you'd like to give it a go, it's sort of a cheesecake, but it's a little sweeter than a normal cheesecake, and it has fruit in it. Originally, was currants. Here in Spain, I've said many times, I can't buy currants. They don't use them here, they don't grow them here, and I have to use sultanas usually. So let's go with the ingredients first, and then we'll carry on from there. So here we have the ingredients for the curd tart. I've got some sugar, I've got some sultanas. They should really be currants, but I can't buy currants here in Spain, so I use sultanas. But if you've got currants, that's the thing to use. I've got some butter, which will be melted, by the way. I've got 1 egg, I've got some cottage cheese, a little nutmeg, and a small amount of cream. Okay, pastry wise, I'm using some of my short crust pastry, and I have put a link underneath to that showing you how to make, telling you how to make it and what to use. Now, there's a list of pastries there. You can, all my ones, sweet ones, short ones, hot water ones, but the recipe is underneath the video and I'm using about 130 grams there. Okay, so let's put the whole thing together. So we'll get the pastry sorted now. Now this recipe, by the way, is enough to make a tart like that, or in a loose bottom flan tin like that. But I'm going to use these today, and I'm going to make a dozen of those. Okay, there's only half a dozen there, I have 2 of those tins. So I'm going to use that today. Now the pastry, I said before, I've left a link underneath the video to my pastry recipes. You can use an ordinary short crust pastry like I'm doing here, or you can make a sweet pastry. All the recipes are on the one link underneath, okay? So we'll get on with that. I'm going to flour the board and the paste. It's been resting in the fridge for about 30 minutes as the pastry. Now, when we're rolling pastry, we let the rolling pin do the work. Okay, we don't press on it. We just keep it nice and gentle and let the weight of the rolling pin do the work. And then turn it. Couple of rolls, and then turn it halfway. 90 degrees. And you see, each time we turn it, it's preventing it sticking there. Can you see, as I turn it, it's gathering a little bit more flour from around there so that it's not sticking. Gently, keep it on the move like that. Don't do more than 2 or 3 rolls. Until you get to the right thickness. You don't want it too thick, you don't want it too thin. You want it just nice so that it's handleable, because if it's too thin you won't be able to handle it at all. a bit warm in my kitchen this morning, so this paste is getting very, very soft because it's a nice short crust pastry. Now when you come to cutting out your discs for the bases, you need a nice cutter, big enough so that the pastry comes up the sides of the tins. I'm using, I don't know what it is, I don't know the size of it, but whatever size your tin is, it needs to be bigger than the cavity in the tin. So we'll just try one and see if that cutter is big enough. First of all, as long as they come to the top of the tin, there we are. Nice fit, okay? There we are. Cases cut and filled nicely. Now that half a dozen tin, I'm going to make 2 tins like that, but that half a dozen tin, I've just checked, it took exactly 100 grams of the pastry, okay? 100 grams of the pastry. So to make the whole dozen, it'll be 200 grams, okay? But you won't need 200 grams to make one of these, right? This is 18 centimeters, these tins. So we'll get on with the filling. Now I've added the cottage cheese first of all. If you buy cottage cheese and it's got a lot of liquid separated out of it, drain it off first. We don't want it too wet like that, okay? So that's the cottage cheese in there. We're going to add, next, we're going to add the sugar. And give it a little mix. Trying to keep the curds whole, we don't want to make it all go to a liquid. Now that's nicely mixed. Now we're going to put in the egg. The size of the egg, I'm using a medium-sized egg simply because I don't want to make it too runny again. That's very nice. It's going nicely. Now we're going to add the melted butter. Don't have the melted butter too hot or you'll finish up with a scrambled egg in there, which we don't want, of course. And now we're going to add the sultanas and the cream. Now the reason I'm adding cream, that's not in the original recipe, but in the bakery we used to add cream simply because in latter years, when milk goes to the dairy to be processed, they take all the cream out of every bit of the milk and then sell what's left as skim milk. They add a little bit of cream back to some of it and sell it as semi-skim milk, and they add a bit more and sell it as whole milk, but they don't put it all back in. They keep some back for themselves, and that's their little perk, because they sell that what's left to you as fresh cream at a premium price, which is all profit. You're not actually buying whole milk as it comes from the cow, which we used to do years ago. So that's why I've added a little bit of cream back to compensate for what the dairy have taken out before they made the curds, okay, the cottage cheese. So that's all going in there nicely, and I'm going to just put now a pinch of nutmeg. A pinch of nutmeg. If you're not keen on nutmeg, you can use cinnamon or something like that, but nutmeg is a very, very nice, just a very, very slight touch. Now you can see the consistency of it. It is runny. That's why I said if you've any liquids come out of your cottage cheese, pour it off first, because we don't want it any more runny than that. Okay, so now we're going to get the cases and fill them. So there, I've filled the cases now, and they're going to go in the oven for about 15-20 minutes at 180. You can have it a little bit higher if you want. Sometimes I put it at 200, but they'll take about 15-20 minutes, and you'll see when they're cooked. So I'll be back shortly. Here they are, straight out of the oven, and I think you'll agree they look very nice. Now they will settle down as they cool, so I'm going to leave them in the tin now for about 10 or 15 minutes just to cool a little before I lift them out of the tin, and then we'll see how they go. So here's the finished product. Now these are the small ones I made, and I did make one just as we used to make it in the shop. We used to make it in this foil case, you can see. It's nicely cooked underneath, no soggy bottoms, and that's a very nice size for just 1 or 2 people. So the crunch time is, let's have a taste and see what they like, okay? It's absolutely delicious. It's soft, fluffy, light, sweet, and the pastry is to die for. It really is enjoyable. So if you've enjoyed the video, go underneath, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, do so, and when you press that little bell icon at the side of it, YouTube will send you a message every time I put up a new video, so you won't miss one. If you have any questions, suggestions or comments, you can also leave those underneath the video as well. I do read every one, and I try to answer as many as I possibly can. Anyway, this is Mr. Paul saying bye for now. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!